Look, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again today. I am old. Many years ago, probably I was let's just say it's been 50 years ago. I remember living in a trailer park in New Orleans, Louisiana, and that neighborhood was anything but a good neighborhood. It wasn't horribly bad. Well, some would even argue that it was horribly bad. That having been said, there was a store at the front of the trailer park in which I lived, or nearby it. I don't remember exactly how that worked. And the store was called somebody's first name, and I didn't think anything about it, and I said something where I used the first name without putting Mr. in front of it. And let me just tell you something. You do not want to know what the result of my doing that was, but it wasn't pretty. It was more somebody yelling at me than about anything else, saying you will essentially address me by Mr. whatever, Mr. Bill, Mr. John, whatever it was, right? The point here that I'm making is, I remember in the past when there were some serious differences in how people looked at life, and you can say that they were stuffy and, today would be considered outdated and so forth, but I wanted to talk on the subject of good character on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics Today. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Tuesday, the 16th of November of 2021. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Remember, my preferred platform is Rumble. And the subject for today is going to be good character. And as usual, I'm going to run through my notes real quick to give you some idea basically what it is that I'm talking about. I'm trying to adjust to a slight change to my quote studio where I added some light that I like better, but the problem is it tends to get in my glasses. So if you see me looking down a little bit more than I normally would, know that that's part of the reason for that. All right, getting on with my notes. I can remember not too many years ago when people seemed to be generally of good character. I'm not saying the folks in question were anything like perfect, nor am I saying good character was universal. What I am getting at, though, is most were taught to not lie, cheat, or steal. And when they did so, they were embarrassed, and rightly so. Look, I'm not trying to make out that people in the past were anything like model individuals. That said, at least most of them realized their failures. Maybe not all of them, maybe not all of their failures, but most of the time when they did wrong, they knew that they had done wrong and tried to correct their issues. These days, people brazenly act in horribly unbecoming ways. It's almost as if they're daring others to do anything about their bad actions. Here's my issue. I can't say whether the parents of the people in question, and there are many of those people, trained them to be as they are. My suspicion is they did by intent or accident. All I know is they behave in ways that almost certainly will come back to bite them. Even if you're unwilling to accept that there should be a minimum standard of behavior, and I'm not, I believe that there should be a minimum standard of behavior, the way things appear to be going at present are more than a little scary. I look around me these days and see more people than not by far that seem to be uninterested in being people of character. It mystifies me on the one hand, but it's not surprising on the other. It's hard to display character, and even more so when others will take advantage of you for doing so. I acknowledge I'm not the person I desire to be. Even though that's the case, I work daily, really hourly, and really more like minutely, to be a better me. That doesn't mean I don't have a long way to go. I do. I have a long way to go. What scares me, though, is how very many people around me are not even close to me. And as I say, I'm no exemplar where character is concerned. I'm not sitting here going, oh, look at me, I'm so wonderful, right? As if that weren't bad enough. Excuse me, got to read my own writing. And you can be sure it is. So very many folks seem to have zero interest in moving in that direction. It may not be obvious, I hope it is, but I strongly desire to be a man of character, and I hope that you desire to be a person of character as well. Again, this is one of those things where I could go click and I'd be done, and this has happened a lot recently, where I could literally just read my notes, and I think that you would get the idea of what I'm saying, what I'm getting at, and so forth. But what I want for you to understand is this. I remember distinctly when the majority of people were embarrassed when people pointed out that they lacked character, that they weren't civil, that they weren't nice people. And I'm going to say this again, that doesn't apply to everyone. There were always people who lacked character. I remember, and this is going to sound totally unrelated, when tattoos and piercings became all the rage. And I saw that mostly people who chose that mode of operation, that is getting tattoos, getting piercings, and that sort of thing, mostly those people wanted to play a game that had been played before by those who had been likewise, had been tattooed or pierced. And I mean more than earlobes, and for people of Asian Indian descent and similar, nose, and some others, right? But the majority of people seem to have this idea that the way they want to do business is to be people who are, quote, rebels and not people of character. I'm not against people rebelling, but I think that you can rebel in ways that are reasonable and proper. And in fact, I was reading a story just today about a young lady who did exactly that and ended up literally dying for it, because this was in Nazi Germany, and she said, nope, not going to play your games. I think I'm doing the right thing for Germany when I do what I do. She was 21 years old, really appeared to be a person of character, and I can name others who are just amazing in that regard. The Vermbrands come to mind, Richard and trying to think of her name, his wife, come to mind. They were that way. They were people of amazing character. And I know that there were times when they could have been considered Sabina. And I know there were times when they could have been considered footloose, right? Particularly Sabina, I guess that's true for. But if you know anything about Voice of the Martyrs, and if you know anything about what the two of them went through in order to be people model character to others, and what they did to change other people's lives, it would just absolutely astound you to find out what people were willing to do in past and what some of us are trying desperately to do in the present moment to be people who others can look at and say, yeah, that's kind of what I want my life to look like. I've pointed something out, and I think a lot of people maybe miss this. I've pointed out that when I model character to others, the people around me almost instinctively, almost without any real intent at all, tend to model the same thing back, to mirror the same thing back to me that I model to them. That's why I said yesterday I wanted to sort of treat this pragmatically, because what I want you to understand is the more we slide away from being people of character, the more we can count on others assuming that it's okay to make that same slippery slope their home. And when I say that slippery slope, for some of them, for a lot of them, it's going to be basically the bottom, the very bottom. So what I'm saying to you at this point is, you may not see the benefit, you may not see the worth in being a person of character. I'm sorry if that's true. I'm sorry that it's the case. As for me, that is exactly what I intend to do my best to be. Am I telling you I'm always going to succeed? No, a lot of times I fail. But I'm always going to try. Look, we all do stuff wrong. I tell my son this all the time. I ask him if daddy's perfect, or if his teachers are perfect, or he's perfect. And the answer to that question is no. And I make sure that he's aware. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be harsh. None of us is perfect. None of us is going to do right all the time. And again, this is the eat the whole cake or just a slice. Did you break your diet eating a piece of cake? Well, now are you going to eat the whole cake, or are you just going to know that you broke your diet eating the slice? For my part, I want to be the guy who just eats the slice and moves on. Well, I ate the slice. I did something that was against what I wanted to do. It's going to have to be okay, but I'm not going to eat the whole cake as a result. And I'm not just going to give up hope. And I want you to understand that. I see that I'm over time. I'm sorry that that's the case. I do try to keep things under 10 minutes. I can see that this video is going to be over 10 minutes. So let me go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Tuesday, the 16th of November of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Wednesday, the 17th of November of 2021, middle of the week. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Subject for today has been good character, and tomorrow is going to be mental health symptoms. And I want to talk about what I see happening with people talking about the idea of mental health symptoms, and that's what I'm going to try to do tomorrow. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you and continues to do so, and hopefully we will see you again on Wednesday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Tuesday, November 16th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that, and you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.